Tokyo's rail system handles tens of millions of passenger trips every single day. But this isn't just a subway. This is the most optimized transport network on Earth. It exists because thousands of engineers have been tuning it for decades. And this is slime mold. It has one cell, no brain, no blueprint, no meetings, and no budget. But if you give it a map of the Tokyo region and about a day to grow, the network it builds looks a lot like the real thing. Not just by eye, but by the numbers, with the same kind of total cost, the same kind of travel efficiency, and a surprisingly similar level of, does this fall apart when something breaks? So what's going on? Did a slime mold really design Tokyo's rail system? Or is something deeper happening here, something about how good designs get forced into existence? To understand why this comparison even matters, you need to feel how hard Tokyo's job is. Because a rail map isn't just a drawing. It's a solution to a fight between three things that don't like each other: cost, speed, and resilience. If you make it cheap, it breaks. Make it fast, and it gets expensive. And if you make it resilient, it gets even more expensive. Now imagine you're the planner. If you draw too few lines, rush hour becomes a slow motion disaster. But if you draw too many, construction time, maintenance, budgets, everything explodes. And sure, you could build a dense grid with loops and bypasses everywhere, backups on backups. That's for sure, robust. But it's also absurdly expensive. So real systems live in the messy space in between. Not the cheapest network, not the safest network. That's a compromise to find a good enough solution where the city can breathe. And Tokyo didn't get built on a blank canvas either. This thing grew over decades post-war reconstruction, private lines, government projects, political trade-offs. Every new line had to fight the city that was already there: buildings, landowners, geology, and voters. So the fact it works at all is impressive. And the fact it works this well is insane. But here's the twist. A slime mold also got asked basically the same question, and it gave a very similar answer. Let's strip this down to the core problem. You have a bunch of important points on a map: cities, hubs, stations, and nodes. Your job is to connect them so that 1, trips between them are short, 2, the system doesn't cost a ridiculous amount, and 3, if one connection fails, the whole thing doesn't split in half. That's the triangle. But why is it so hard? Well, it turns out that if you improve one side, it could end up hurting the others. If you add links, you'll get speed and backup routes, but you pay in total length. But if you cut links to save cost, routes will get longer, and one break can isolate whole regions. And there's one line that explains almost everything. Robustness requires redundancy, but redundancy comes from costs. So what does a good compromise look like? The easiest way to understand that is to imagine the absolute cheapest network possible. Picture this like a string on a board. You've got nails in the shape of Tokyo's cities. What's the cheapest way to connect every nail so they're all reachable? You'd connect them with the minimum amount of string. That cheapest design is the baseline. But it has a problem. It's basically a tree. There are no loops or alternate routes. If there's one cut in the wrong place and half the board disconnects, so that baseline is cheap but fragile. Now you understand why Tokyo has overlaps. Those overlaps are not chaos, they're paid for network survival. And now we can talk about the slime mold. Now, what if you take that same map and hand it to a completely different kind of builder? One with no spreadsheets, no master plan, and no central control. Just some oat flakes and some slime mold. Here's what the slime does. In the simplest possible terms, it explores everywhere first. Then it strengthens the routes that get used the most. And it deletes the routes that don't. That's it. There's no thinking, just physics and feedback. More flow through a tube makes that tube thicker, more conductive, more like a highway. Less flow means the tube shrinks, and eventually it disappears. So instead of planning, it runs a brutal survival contest between pathways. That's the entire mechanism. And in the Tokyo experiment, researchers set it up like this. They placed food sources, oat flakes, in positions that correspond to cities around Tokyo. They started the slime at Tokyo's position, right at the center, and they waited. At first, the slime sprawls everywhere like a panic attack. It's not efficient, but it's just searching for food. But over the next day, something happens. Some tubes became thick and turned into the core paths, but other tubes got thinner, and some vanished. And after about a day, you're left with a lean network, a backbone. And when you compare that backbone to Tokyo's rail system, the details aren't identical, but the shape is quite familiar. The main corridors, the branching, and a few key loops. You find redundancy in the places you'd expect. And now we get to the part that actually proves it. It's not a picture, but the numbers. Remember that cheapest possible network baseline? The minimum string design? Let's treat that as one. That's the absolute minimum total length you can build and still connect everything. Now I can ask, how much extra network did Tokyo build compared to the bare minimum? It comes out at about 1.8. This means Tokyo's rail network is about 80% longer than the cheapest possible network. But that's not wasted costs. That's the costs of having faster routes, other route options, and redundancy. But what about the Brainless slime mold? It averages around 1.75. So it builds a network about 75% longer than the bare minimum. And that's the first jaw dropper. That's like having two different builders in the same neighborhood trying to achieve the same thing. Now let's see efficiency. Efficiency is basically, if you pick two cities at random, how short is the best route between them inside the network? Again, we'll treat the cheapest baseline as 1. Tokyo lands around 0.85, while the slime mold lands around 0.852. This means that when compared to that bare minimum fragile network, the average route is about 15% shorter. So when you put those two together, you get a trade-off. Both systems spend roughly 75 to 80% more total network length than the cheapest option. But in return, they get roughly 15% shorter routes, plus redundancy and robustness. This is the same compromise and the same kind of answer. Now, when it comes to fault tolerance, this is where humans win. In short, what would happen if you remove one random link? Would that isolate part of the network? Well, Tokyo is so robust that only about 4% of single link failures isolate something. However, the slime mold networks are more fragile. Depending on conditions, about 14% to 20% of single link failures would end up isolating something. But this is where the internet usually ruins the story. They often claim, slime mold built a better subway than humans. That's a funny and shocking line, but also the wrong lesson. The real lesson is this: they are similar because they're trapped by the same constraints. They found the same node locations. They have the same distances and have to deal with same basic pressure to balance cost, speed, and backup routes. If you take that Tokyo map and consider every possible network you could draw, most of them are actually terrible. They're too expensive, too slow, and too fragile. But then you begin to add some extra demands. Make it cheaper, make it faster, make it robust. And that's when you delete most of the unreliable networks. In the end, you reach a solution that ends up looking as a tree-like backbone with a few carefully placed loops and shortcuts. That's what Tokyo has. And that's what the slime discovers through a totally different process. It first grows everywhere, lets traffic naturally emerge through flow, and then trims itself until only the best performing structure remains. The convergence isn't magic, it's pressure. They use different systems, but with the same constraints. And when you have the same constraints, the number of answers gets reduced. Let's keep this honest. This doesn't really prove slime mold is intelligent like humans, but it proves something narrower and more interesting. Under the same geography and the same constraints, nature can reach near the same answer for a trade-off balance as human infrastructure. And that's why this matters beyond Tokyo. Because once you understand the slime behavior mechanism, you can translate it into math and use it as a tool. And then you can use it as a way to search huge design spaces without requiring one perfect central brain to compute the perfect answer. Because in real life, perfect is usually impossible. What you really want is good under pressure. And nature is very, very good at that. So no, slime mold didn't secretly design Tokyo's rail system. Humans did that with decades of compromise, politics, budget fights, and engineering trade-offs. But when you give a brainless organism the same geography and the same job, it independently finds a network in the same narrow region of cost and efficiency. That's what's fascinating. It suggests that a lot of what we call design might actually be closer to discovery, finding the few structures that survive hard limits, whether you reach them with neurons, equations, or a creeping yellow blob with no idea what Tokyo even is.